Good morning. Okay, so I wanted to do a small little experiment for the very simple reason that everybody's got these, I'm pretty sure. Hmm, Sorry about that. Um, yeah, highlighters. Can we do something with them instead of just highlighting the important dates in their calendar or our bullet journals and things like that? I've never done this before, so this is a first for me too. So we shall see what we can come up with. The thing about highlighters is the neon colors. I love the neon colors. So you have to sort of be careful on how you are going to present it as an art piece. But I don't know. For today, we're just going to experiment and play with it, and then I'll see if I can do something else. I don't know. So the idea was to just treat it like any other medium. It's not, of course, and it probably would be easier with something like a chisel tip instead of just, like a bigger chisel tip, rather. Just going to randomly color them in. I have no idea how much time I have on my phone, so this is kind of a double experiment. Now, highlighters, they're available just about everywhere these days. Dollar store, regular store, good old staples. Ooh. The thing I like about highlighters is how bright they are. Now, this year, one of the, not the Pantone colors, but one of the colors that's back in fashion is neons. So it's not an easy color to wear, but I thought it would be a lot more easier, simpler to create some art with it. Now, I have not experimented to see if it would work with water, if it acts like a watercolor or anything like that. So for now, I'm just doing it this way. You could obviously get the big chisel tips. These are a lot smaller because they're supposed to be for, like studying and notebooks and stuff like that. But seeing that this is an experiment, we're just going to go with it. Just random kind of, scribbles. What I do like about it is each company, I don't know if you guys have the same issue, but each company, the brightness or the intensity of the colors is a little bit different. And I'm sorry if you can hear a lot of rumbling in the background, but I think something happened to my neighbor's trees in their backyard, and now they've come by to chop things up and take things down before it wrecks their house, obviously. But as you can see with this color, the yellow, it's different from each one. Different companies will have different intensities, so, which is kind of cool, because then you can layer the different colors. Like I said, I don't know. Now I have erasable highlighters these days, which I thought was kind of cool. My daughter's all over those. She thinks those are great for school, for studying and everything. So, to each their own. I remember when the erasable pens first came into play when I was in high school by Papermate. I don't think they ever worked 100% how they were supposed to, but the idea was there. And starting with an idea is always a good thing. So, like I said, each company, the colors are slightly different. So that's 2 yellow highlighters that I've used so far. Here we have a third one. Let's see if it'll do yet another color, which it probably will. Now, I don't know Thing is, with highlighters, they're so liquidy, which makes it easier to run. Okay, so that one is pretty much the same as the other one. That's not too bad. I was hoping for 3 different ones, but that's okay. Again, experimentation. You never know what you're going to get. I had this idea in my head last night, you know, trying to figure out, okay, what else can I do with them? You know, art supplies that you would not normally use for, well, art, right? So, yeah, I've seen done with coffee and tea and makeup and things like that. But this is basically an office supply, not so much an art supply. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to experiment. As you can see, I'm just going around the border for the most part. And I don't know how long this video will be. I'm trying to work as quickly as possible. Okay, just a few little. Now I'm going to try and lay some down and see if I can do something with that. Little paintbrush here. Oh, it does act like a watercolor. Look at that. So you could potentially use that as a watercolor. That is kind of cool, I must say. So you could use your, see how bright that is? You could potentially use your, you know, your water brush. Probably be easier. But, you know, I never do things the easy way. Those of you who watched my channel for the last few months would probably know that by now. But, I don't know. Experimentation is never supposed to be the easiest. It's just supposed to be fun. So, oops, I got it all over my paper. Hang on, let's wipe that off for now. I want the back side all decorated too. Just the front for today. Okay, so that works. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. Let's see, then we could probably end up doing something like this. So I'm going to use some pink. Be generous. I'm going to do a couple of patches. So like you do any other easel, you know, you just lay down a few colors and then you can play with it as you go. So this is supposed to be a peachy color. And I'm just using my Ranger mat here just to sort of use my stencil. You can just layer as you go. That's kind of cool. I could probably use a wider brush for this too, but I kind of like having the control with the smaller brush. It's a little bit easier to get into these little areas. It's okay if some of the stencil just sort of picks up, you know, some of the other colors. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. But as a background kind of color, like if you wanted to add a little bit of color to cards or things like that, a little bit more subtle, and you don't have any ink pads, or crayons or things like that, or you're in the office and you are bored to tears, you know, have some fun with experimenting. Why not? So as you can see, it does put down quite a bit of color. I'm just going to wipe that off. I'm going to add some purple. I don't see too many purple highlighters, but I do like the color of this. Which is kind of, you know, interesting. So I'm just going to grab my my own stencils that I had made. Let's see. Okay, this one right here. That's the one I want. So yeah, it's got paint on it. Do I clean my stencils? No, not really. I don't bother. But with a smaller brush, you can get right into those little areas. You're not sure where the color is going to end up, which is okay, because that is part of the fun. And just rotate your paper. As you see, they layer quite nicely. Which is kind of cool. Now you could obviously make it a little bit darker and just use it as is. I'm going to dry it off a bit though. Yeah, it's not quite big enough for that, but that's okay. But what you could do is just sort of randomly make some markings. It's kind of cool. All right. So what have we not used? We have not used the blue. Let's do this blue. Looks quite pretty. I'm going to use a wider brush and see if that makes it a little bit easier to use. Let's put it that way. So with a larger stencil and a bigger brush, it's not as much color payoff, but it definitely has a lot more surface area to cover. Stencil will take most of the water away, which is good. It's not bad. I'm just going to dry it off. So if you wanted to do something a bit more drastic or dramatic, I suppose, okay, what else have I not used? I have not used the green. It's more like a journal page kind of thing. But now we have all the colors. So we can mix them all up and hopefully we'll get like a tealy color. There we go. Not bad. As you can see, it does layer quite nicely. These ones, again, sorry for the noise, guys. I know it's pretty loud. I hope it doesn't pick up too much on the camera. But you never know what the noise is gonna do, right? And how much it'll pick up. So, anyway, yeah. So at this point, I would just tend to want to break out some other supplies that you would normally not use very often. I mean, you could use a Sharpie, obviously. Do I have a Sharpie? No, because I didn't bring them out. That's why. Hold on a second. That's the other thing I have a lot of is Sharpies. It's like, all right, a gazillion and one in here. See? Because you always want that sharp one, right? The one that leaves the most color behind. Anyway. Ooh, that is not very nice. I don't think I have another one. Fine. Use the big kahuna. So this is watercolor paper. You could obviously do this on a thicker cardstock or even, you know, whatever you feel like. But again, it's up to you. Blacker marker obviously would do much better, but I don't have one apparently. That's okay. And just color it in. Highlighters do tend to lift some of the paper up. I don't know. See? I don't understand why. Probably because it's so wet. Watercolor paper is very pulpy, right? It's supposed to help absorb the water. So this is what ends up happening. Ooh, that's a nice bright one. Like that. I don't know. It's different, that's for sure. It does remind me a little bit of summer. If I were to do graffiti in the 80s, you know. I think this is sort of what it would look like, I think. I know. But as you can see, it acts like a watercolor. You could use it, you know, for that very simple reason. So I thought it was kind of cool. Oh, this one has a chisel tip and a fine tip. Ooh, that makes it a little bit simpler. Pays to read your pens and pencils and markers. Now, had I a better black marker, this probably would have turned out a lot nicer, but again, as far as an experimentation goes, it's not horrible. Whew, okay. It does muddy up the waters a little bit once it touches that marker, but that's okay. It's not horrible. Chisel tips make it much simpler. Kind of cool. You think, guys? I don't know. I think I've, you know, proven you can use them as watercolors, and you know, I mean, it's not the greatest art piece in the world, obviously, but as far as experimentation go, you know, it works out not too bad. So the highlighters, you know, they can very much act like watercolors, as I've proven. You can use them as stencils. You can use them to paint with a paintbrush. So either way, you know, you could do it this way too if you wanted to. So I don't know if it'll work this way. Let's see. Once it's down, will it blend? Nope. Once it's down, that's pretty much it. But you know what? That's okay, because you could use it the other way. But yeah. Experiment, people, with whatever you have on hand. It's a lot of fun, and you might actually find a new medium that you never thought of before. So, hope you enjoyed it, guys. Bye.